Very good morning and welcome to Breakfast News. In the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest news and updates. Correspondents will also be joining us. Very important stories lined up today. Prime Minister will dedicate oxygen plants today to across the country. 35 oxygen plants will be dedicated. We'll have a detailed story on that. My name is Abhishek Mahajan and with me is my colleague Preeti. Good morning, Preeti.
Good morning, Abhishek, and a warm morning to you too. Abhishek has spelled out the top story, the important story, which we will be beginning our bulletin with. And also, we tell you every day that it's a packed 1 hour ahead we get for you every morning to make sure your morning begins on the right note. We'll get you, apart from this, other national updates, international updates, updates from the world of business, sports, and enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour. First, the top stories.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to dedicate to the nation 35 PSA oxygen plants across 35 states and UTs established under PM CARES. PSA oxygen plants now commissioned in all districts of the country.
Government aims to position India strongly on the global textiles map. Approves setting up of 7 mega integrated textile region and apparel under PM Mitra. Intends to generate lakhs of employment opportunities per park. Also approves productivity linked bonus to railway employees for the financial year 2020-21.
Supreme Court takes suo motu cognizance in Lakshmi Violence case. 3-judge bench led by CJI to hear the case today. UP CM Yogi Adityanath assures strict action against the culprits.
India makes significant achievement in the fight against COVID-19. Cumulative vaccination coverage crosses 92.6 crore. Over 40 lakh vaccine doses administered yesterday. Bharat Biotech submits clinical trial data of co-vaccine in children to drug regulator.
In Pakistan, at least 20 killed and over 200 injured when 5.7 magnitude earthquake hits southern region early this morning. Tremors were also felt in Balochistan's provincial capital, Quetta.
In sports, Anshu Malik creates history by becoming the first Indian woman wrestler to reach the World Championship final to play gold medal bout against US wrestler Helen Morales today.
Spanish national team moves on to the UEFA Nations League finals, registers 2-1 win over Italy at San Siro on Wednesday's semi-finals.
Navratri festival begins and is being celebrated amidst COVID pandemic across the country. Prime Minister extends greetings on the occasion. Prasar Bharati Network brings special shows, live coverages and much more to pep up the festive mood.
Right, so those were the headlines. We'll start with our national segment.
Yes, we get to our top story first. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will dedicate to the nation 35 PSA oxygen plants today. The plants will reduce dependency of the hospitals on oxygen cylinders, enhance oxygen capacity and also make hospitals self-reliant. Our colleague Meghna Dev gets us more.
Modi will dedicate to the nation 35 PSA oxygen plants on Thursday. In an event at AIIMS Rishikesh, Prime Minister will dedicate these oxygen plants across 35 states and union territories. With this, all districts across the country will have commissioned PSA oxygen generation plants. Uttarakhand CM Pushkar Singh Dhami said that the oxygen capacity has increased in the state now and a lot of focus is being given to enhancing oxygen capacity.
दूसरी लहर में सभी लोगों को जो सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत पड़ी थी वो ऑक्सीजन की पड़ी थी और वो ऑक्सीजन के सिलेंडरों के लिए, ऑक्सीजन के कंसंट्रेटरों के लिए लगातार बहुत लोगों ने उसकी उस समय डिमांड थी, ज़रूरत थी, लोगों की आवश्यकता थी, जीवन बचाने के लिए ज़रूरत थी। तो उसको अब जब ऑक्सीजन के प्लांट लग जाएंगे तो निश्चित रूप से वो जो कमी है वो पूरी होगी और लो निरंतरता में बनी रहेगी।
AIIMS Rishikesh director said that the plant will reduce dependency of the hospitals on oxygen cylinders, enhance oxygen capacity, make hospitals self-reliant, and prove to be a game changer by also helping reduce expenditures on cylinders and transportation.
ये प्लांट PM केयर फंड के अंतर्गत लगाया गया है। ये 1000 लीटर पर मिनट की कैपेसिटी का प्लांट है। एक समय में लगभग 50 से 60 मरीजों को इससे ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई हो सकती है।
The PSA oxygen plant commissioning and setup has also happened in record time. The plant has been connected to the trauma center which houses about 100 beds.
जो ये हमारा PSA ऑक्सीजन प्लांट है, इसकी खासियत ये है कि अपने आप ये ऑक्सीजन जनरेट करता है। तो जो सिलेंडर फिलिंग की प्रक्रिया है या लिक्विड मेडिकल ऑक्सीजन को हम खरीदते हैं, उससे हम बच जाते हैं और अपने आप ये जो ऑक्सीजन प्रोड्यूस करता है वो डायरेक्ट हम पेशेंट को सप्लाई कर सकते हैं।
The DRDO has been assisting in setting up oxygen plants across the country with capacities ranging from 250 LPM to 1000 liters per minute. And the PSA technology of these efficient plants is dependent on air as raw material with high quality oxygen.
प्रधानमंत्री PM केयर्स की तरफ से ये जिम्मेदारी हम लोगों को दिया गया कि हम लोग PSA बेस्ड प्लांट बनाएं और सभी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कम से कम एक हो, और उस तरह से DRDO 935 प्लांट्स लगा रहा है पूरे इंडिया में।
A total of 1,224 PSA oxygen plants have been funded under the Prime Minister Cares all across the country, out of which 1,100 plants have been commissioned, providing an output of over 1,750 MT oxygen per day.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to dedicate such PSA plants to several states and districts across the nation, and these oxygen plants will actually help reduce the dependency on oxygen cylinders for several hospitals and institutes, and will help enhance the oxygen capacity at several hospitals as well. With camera person Ajay, this is Meghna Dev for DD News from Rishikesh.
Right, so our colleague Meghna Dev is joining us live from Rishikesh. Good morning, Meghna. PM will dedicate to the nation 35 PSA oxygen plants, and since the start of the pandemic, we know affordable and access to oxygen has been literally a growing challenge. You think this is the right step towards the potential oxygen demand in future?
Yes, absolutely. Abhishek, first of all, I would like to tell you I am here at AIIMS Rishikesh, and Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation about 35 PSA oxygen plants from here itself. And besides that, when we actually see that, these kind of oxygen plants will actually help cater to future needs, not only during the pandemic, but also during other situations when the continuous oxygen supply is required for the patients, either in OPDs, trauma centers, the other oxygen beds. Also, with this, the hospitals will be able to enhance the number of oxygen beds, because, a kind of captive oxygen generating capacity in-house will be available, so that it will decrease the dependency on oxygen cylinders and other outside sources from where the oxygen was earlier procured by the hospitals. So definitely there has a lot of measures have been taken to quickly set up these PSA oxygen plants. Now these are PSA plants which actually utilize air as the raw material and will not require anything else. So that is also quite affordable. When we were speaking to the director of AIIMS Rishikesh, he said that it will also reduce the kind of transportation costs and the cost for getting in cylinders. So that is going to be, reduced. So that will be beneficial for the institute, for the hospital as well. Besides that, there are some times when during the accidents also fire takes place, or during the accidents oxygen cylinders get destroyed. So all of that can also, loss of oxygen can be avoided, because in a sense, hospitals are going to become self-reliant. So definitely this is one of the major steps to augment the capacity, the oxygen generation capacity, making hospitals self self-reliant, producing their own oxygen and catering to the needs of their patients. Also, it is obviously a kind of a preparative measure for, you know, upcoming oxygen requirements that may happen, that can happen in any time in the future. So this is just, you know, another way. And with this also, very importantly, every district is now having at least one either commissioned or a set up installed oxygen plant. So that definitely is something which is very important, and especially the medical fraternity had been, you know, since long, you know, this has been some aspect to which the medical fraternity wanted, because you know, in-house oxygen plants will actually help, and the other LMO, the liquid medical oxygen that is bought from outside, that is going to be as a top-up. So definitely, and these kind of oxygen plants can directly be connected to the pipeline, to the pre-existing pipeline also, and then can be connected to the oxygen beds and provide oxygen. So continuous supply, uninterrupted supply can be ensured when such kind of oxygen plants are set up, and especially when they are being set up all across the nation.
All right, so you've said it all, Meghna. Thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent, Meghna, telling us about the PSA oxygen plants, 35 of them, which will be launched and inaugurated by Prime Minister today. With this, every district in the country will now have an oxygen plant, which is indeed an important step in providing affordable
less expensive also,
affordable health care services to the people. We'll keep you updated when the program begins later in the morning today. Up next, we'll get you highlights of the cabinet briefing yesterday. The Union Cabinet on Wednesday approved the setting up of 7 mega integrated textile region and apparel parks with a total outlay of more than 4,400 crore rupees over the next 5 years. People working in the textile sector welcomed this decision. They called it a revolutionary step. The Cabinet also approved the productivity-linked bonus equivalent to 78 days of wages for the financial year 2020-21 for all eligible non-gazetted railway employees, including RPF and RPSF personnel.
With a view to realize the vision of Prime Minister Narendra Modi of building an Atmanirbhar Bharat and to position India strongly on the global textiles map, the Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday, approved setting up of 7 mega integrated textile region and apparel PM Mitra parks with a total outlay of 4,445 crore rupees over 5 years. Briefing media in New Delhi, Textiles Minister Piyush Goyal said that PM Mitra is inspired by the 5F vision of Prime Minister Modi. The 5F formula encompasses farm to fibre, fibre to factory, factory to fashion, fashion to foreign. This integrated vision will help furthering the growth of the textile sector in the economy.
Pradhan Mantri Mega Integrated Textile Region and Apparel Parks PM मित्र योजना आज उनके नेतृत्व में कैबिनेट ने अप्रूव किए। 4,445 करोड़ रुपए अनुमानित व्यय है इसमें अगले 5 वर्षों में, और 7 नए टेक्सटाइल पार्क्स पीएम मित्र के तहत देश में अलग अलग इलाकों पे प्रमोट किए जाएंगे, जिससे लगभग 7 लाख लोगों को तो डायरेक्ट और 14 लाख लोगों को इनडायरेक्ट एम्प्लॉयमेंट का साधन बने, ये हमारी कल्पना है। इसके बारे में राज्यों से बात हुई है। अभी तक 10 राज्यों ने तो ऑलरेडी इंटरेस्ट भी दिखाया है।
In another important decision, the Union Cabinet approved productivity-linked bonus equivalent to 78 days wage to eligible non-gazetted railway employees, excluding RPF or RPSF personnel for financial year 2020-21. Briefing Media, Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Thakur said about 11.56 lakh non-gazetted railway employees will be benefited from the decision.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी की नेतृत्व वाली कैबिनेट मीटिंग में ये निर्णय किया गया है कि इस साल भी 78 दिन की बोनस दिया जाएगा रेलवे के कर्मचारियों को, और ये नॉन गैजेटेड एम्प्लॉयज के लिए होता है। 11,56,000 नॉन गैजेटेड एम्प्लॉयज इससे लाभान्वित होंगे और कुल मिलाकर 1,985 करोड़ रुपए इसके ऊपर व्यय होंगे। फॉर्मूले के आधार पर 72 दिन का बनता था, लेकिन उसके बावजूद माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने और कैबिनेट ने इस पर निर्णय लिया। इससे रेलवे के कर्मचारियों का मनोबल भी बढ़ेगा और आने वाले समय में रेलवे में और मुनाफा हो और अच्छी उसकी परफॉर्मेंस हो, उस दिशा में भी इसका लाभ मिलने वाला है।
People associated with the textile sector have welcomed the decision of the government and termed it a revolutionary step for the sector. The PM Mitra Park will enhance the competitiveness of the textiles industry by helping it in achieving economies of scale and create huge job opportunities for millions of people. Leveraging economies of scale, the scheme will help Indian companies to emerge as global champions. With Rishi Kumar, News Night Desk, DD India.
Right, shifting focus now, in a significant move, the Supreme Court on Wednesday took suo motu cognizance of the Lakshmi violence and deaths in Uttar Pradesh on October 3rd. The Apex Court has listed the case for hearing in the next 24 hours. A three-judge bench led by Chief Justice of India N.V. Ramana will hear the suo motu case today. The Chief Justice of India will be flanked by Justices Surya Kant and Hema Kohli on the bench.
In a significant achievement, India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 92.6 crore mark. Out of the total vaccination, more than 66 crore 93 lakh vaccine doses have been given as the first dose, while over 25 crore 66 lakh doses have been administered as the second dose. More than 40.43 lakh vaccine doses have been administered till yesterday, 8:30 p.m.
And Hyderabad-based biotechnology company Bharat Biotech on Wednesday said the data on clinical trials for its coronavirus vaccine, Covaxin, conducted on children aged 2 to 18 has been submitted to the Drugs Controller General of India. In May, the Drug Controller General of India had permitted the company to carry out the clinical trials of Covaxin in those under 18 years. Last month, Bharat Biotech had completed the phase 2-3 trials of Covaxin for use in children under 18 years of age. As part of the phase 2 and 3 trial, the 2-dose Covaxin was administered with 20 days apart. If approved, Covaxin will be the first COVID-19 vaccine that can be administered to children in India.
All religious places across Maharashtra will open for general public from today. The visitors will have to follow the COVID protocols. As per the SOPs, the temple premises will be accessible for fully vaccinated individuals, while unvaccinated devotees need to register on the temple website and also upload a negative COVID certificate. Moreover, Maharashtra government has barred the use of puja essentials, preventing devotees from offering flowers, garlands or prasad to the deity. Besides, the government had also prohibited the touching of idols, religious scriptures and also sprinkling of the holy water. Devotees have also been asked to maintain a distance of 6 feet and use masks and covers at all times. Children below the age of 10 years and senior citizens have been directed to stay at home.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi completes 20 years as the head of an elected government. He has been the country's Prime Minister since May 2014, and before becoming the Prime Minister, PM Modi was Gujarat's longest serving Chief Minister from October 7, 2001 till he took oath as the PM. This is his second term as the nation's leader after having occupied the public office in Gujarat for 3 consecutive terms. He is the first non-Congress Prime Minister to have returned to power with complete majority. PM Modi's political career started in 1965 after he joined the Jan Sangh. He was associated with the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh from a very early age and joined the organization in 1972. He became a member of the BJP in 1987. He held various posts in the party, including that of the General Secretary.
All right, to talk more about it, we are joined in by a guest. We are joined in by Mr. Praful Ketkar, editor, organizer. Thank you so much, sir. Good morning for joining us on DD India. Prime Minister Modi completes 20 years in office. To begin with, I would want you to, take us through the highlights or, for that matter, stellar moments of the Prime Minister's career. 20 years in office is not a, is not a short span of time. 20 years giving yourself to the country, to the highest, office. you begin by telling us what have been the stellar moments of Prime Minister's career as a politician.
Yeah, good morning to all. See, 20 years public office is a, and that is also without any break, is a momentous thing. But even before that, my first experience with the Prime Minister, who was then more in the organization of BJP, I saw him working during the Bhuj earthquake. And the kind of connect he had with the public in Gujarat and the meticulous planning he used to do. And that was the first sign and indication of leadership that we are seeing today. Since then, if you see, you will find peculiar traits of Prime Minister Modi and his persona. Firstly, a very disciplined life. His lifestyle in terms of, the planning of his time and the way he executes the thing is very, very meticulous. And as I said, I've seen that during the rehabilitation process after the Bhuj earthquake. Then, second important thing is, the way he works for certain ideas and ideation. If you take the case of power projects in Gujarat, which was his first, pet idea to go for the renewable energy and the solar energy to ensure 24/7 electrification in Gujarat, to the present scenario of COVID vaccination drive. And you will see that not just taking up a new idea, but leading it to the desirable conclusion with precise steps. This is the second aspect. And thirdly, there can be many facets you can talk about, but thirdly, the way he has, his ability to communicate those ideas and decisions to the common public in the language they understand, he has completely transformed the political discourse of, related to governance and development. I see these three, facets of his leadership and the governance style most interesting when I see 20 years of Narendra Modi, the persona in public office.
Right, and also Mr. Ketkar, since you have talked about his leadership quality, we need to talk about his leadership style also, or the style of governance, we should say. The way he handled COVID and the way he talks to the school kids, also to the IAS officer, to the Gram Panchayats, and we see that every day. He has set a benchmark for India to follow.
Yes. See, to set certain benchmark, first those benchmarks should have a conviction behind it. Now, when we were talking about made in India vaccination and the scientists and the pharmaceutical companies working on it, there were many international pressures, and you need to have a very tough personality to carry forward that conviction, because please understand, even today the European or American pharma lobby is a very, very big force globally. Standing before them and at the same time giving confidence to common Indians that fine, we are coming up with our own vaccines, and we will ensure that they are effective enough. Just imagine, in the present global turmoil, where Afghanistan is unstable, China is trying West to, destabilize the border. Pakistan diplomatically is playing its own game. America is, in a more introspective mode post-Taliban. In such a scenario, if we would have been under pressure to buy vaccines from outside, this would have been a disaster. But that idea was conceived and taken to the logical conclusion, and we are seeing the numbers today. Just a few minutes ago, you only presented in the report the way we have crossed the 90 crore mark. That clearly shows, and this toughness, because leadership is also about taking tough decisions. Many a times, apparently, it would look unpopular, and many people said this when Prime Minister Modi came up with the idea of demonetization also, or for that matter, the idea like Atmanirbhar Bharat also was ridiculed by many economists who talk always in terms of in favor of liberal capitalism. But the way this idea was used to inspire Indian entrepreneurs, Indian farmers, the way provision of free food grain to millions of underprivileged people, or the effective response to the Chinese aggression on LSE, and the way Atmanirbhar Bharat is now applied in the defense and security sector, or the long pending reforms that are executed in sectors like labor or agriculture. These are very, very difficult decisions. But Prime Minister, generally choose not to respond immediately to the criticism and allows his action to speak.
All right.
And at the appropriate time, he knows where to and how to give a political response. And he prefers speaking directly to the people while articulating his response.
All right, you're talking of this
aspect of his style.
Right, you're talking of this unwavered confidence. Mr. Ketkar, also, it takes a lot, as you're telling us, of, taking the country together, replicating the Gujarat success model onto the country is what we see. At the same time, a lot of attention has also been given to India on the global page. It's not about just governance back home, but also the Prime Minister has made efforts in, how the world today perceives India and the confidence which is being instilled in the country on the global page. What is your evaluation of that? Be it, engaging with the Indian diaspora every time he visits a country, or for that matter, making sure to, gain back the confidence of the entire world when it comes to the image of the country on the global page. What is your evaluation of that? How far has that strengthened India's image?
I would again like you to take back to the earlier version and the experimentation he did with the idea called Vibrant Gujarat. The way, see, if you listen to the earlier posturing, generally we would try to, present India, especially post 1990s. Before that, our understanding was, more into the socialist pattern, and therefore public enterprises, and through them we wanted to, achieve our economic goals. But post 93 also, this hangover of socialism was still there, and therefore, nobody was talking in terms of ease of doing business. First time Prime Minister Modi tried to show India as an opportunity. Selling this new India dream is not a new phenomena. He started doing that right in 2002-03 when he was Gujarat Chief Minister, and when he actually worked out on Vibrant Gujarat model with a decisive commitments on behalf of global investors, and again ensuring that no bureaucratic hurdles are there to execute those ideas. I think that was the starting point. And when he took over as the Prime Minister, he was very clear what needs to be projected. I think we should see this in three broad terms. One, how India can be projected civilizationally. Nobody has talked about India as the mother of democracy. India is the, can be a global model for ease of doing business. India as a model for, healthcare sector. And projecting yoga and Ayurveda as the selling point of India. I think that is one aspect. Second, India as the country of youth, and therefore this demographic advantage was talked about and projected very, very positively.
Yes.
And the importance of stable government and decisive government and still democratically elected government. The way he projected India's democratic values globally, I think on these civilizational parameters and the young India and the democratically vibrant India,
right.
I think these three aspects he packaged so beautifully to the global audience.
Yes.
In diaspora, whom he generally calls as the ambassador of Indian civilization, that I think helped him a lot in de-hyphenating many of the bilateral relationships globally. And that's why we find, Israel coming out, and still we are not diluting the Palestine cause, or we are managing Pakistan and China relationship independently of each other. These are the unique thing. And even if you see at East policy, the way we have developed our relationship with Japan or Vietnam, that clearly shows he has a clear-cut foreign policy vision. In fact, it was considered as one of his weaknesses that he doesn't have exposure for foreign policy thing. But as I said, his experience to package vibrant Gujarat as India's new India's model, in fact, was the foundation, and now he has built a new India model on this.
Absolutely. 20 glorious years of public service, and also BJP has planned a series of events also. Thank you, Mr. Praful Ketkar. Thank you for giving us your precious time.
Let's turn focus now on to other updates. Let's talk of Mumbai drug case. The judicial custody of Bollywood actor Shah Rukh Khan's son Aryan Khan and others will end today. The accused were arrested on Saturday night following a raid on a cruise ship off the Mumbai coast. Apart from Aryan Khan, 7 others, Arbas Merchant, Munmun Dhamecha, Nupur Sarika, Ismeet Singh, Mohan Jaswal, Vikrant Chokar and Gomit Chopra had been arrested following the raid. To talk more about it, our correspondent Yogesh Sheetal is joining us from Mumbai. Yogesh, spell out what does the day hold for those whose judicial custody is coming to an end? What do we expect? What next from here on?
NCB custody basically coming to an end today. The NCB custody is coming to an end today of 3 accused. We know that as of now, 17 accused have been arrested in this case, including the event management companies, officials, drug peddlers, and also some youth, some people who were traveling on the cruise that time. So as of now, 17 people have been arrested, and all there are 3 set of accused. In the first set of accused, there are 3. You have rightly said that Aryan Khan, apart from Aryan Khan, Arbas Merchant and Munmun Dhamecha. These 3 are the first set of accused, and then 5 people which in second set of accused, and later on there are multiple sets. So now it's very important to see that what argument basically today advanced by the Narcotics Control Bureau in the court, because we have seen massive questionings were underway in the last few days, and also yesterday NCB addressed a press conference and underlined everything, the sequence of events, how the things unfolded. Two important things at this point in time I would like to tell you at this point in time. The first is Aryan Khan's advocate has requested the court to instruct the NCB to provide the CCTV footage in the cruise, because they are arguing since the day one that the position, basically the recovery was not from the accused but on the ship, basically from the ship. So this is what the arguments the defense has been maintaining since the day one. Apart from that, one arrest, a fresh arrest has been made from Powai area. It is believed that the person is a drug peddler, and on the basis of the revelations of the accused who are already in the NCB custody, the fresh arrest has been made. So today I think is a very important day when 3 accused will be produced before the court. It remains to be seen whether NCB demands their further custody or they are sent to judicial custody, because bail, last time when bail plea was heard, bail plea basically was moved by Aryan Khan's advocate, then the AC basically Anil Singh has had objected and said that first custody matters should be heard, and once custody is done, later on bail matter would be heard. So very important day is today in the magistrate court today in Mumbai.
And also Yogesh, very quickly, Mumbai court has also sent 4 accused of an event management company to NCB custody till October 14th. And like you said, one more drug peddler has also been arrested. And also Aryan Khan had his medical checkup yesterday. What more can you tell us on that?
See, your first question is about the event management company official that I told you that 4 people have been arrested. Basically, NCB is trying to ascertain how these accused accessed, the board, how they enter into, how they boarded the ship, and whether the proper procedure, proper protocol was followed when they were allowed to board the ship. So basically they wanted to know this, NCB officials wanted to know this, and also they want the officials want to know that what was the procedure basically, and whether these people are also involved, and whether it is going to be an organized crime, because recently we have seen that when NCB demanded custody, NCB said that international rackets are also involved. So second part of question, the medical thing. Yes, medical checkup is basically a routine process when these accused are produced before the court. So today also we are expecting that the accused will be first taken to the JJ hospital, and later on they will be produced before the court.
All right, Yogesh, thank you so much for joining in with those updates. We'll come back to you again during the day. That was our correspondent Yogesh telling us about what can be expected ahead as the judicial custody of some of the accused in the case come to an end today. Let's talk of other updates.
Yeah, let's move on to our next story now, which is Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will today visit Assam to take part in various events. The Finance Minister will perform Bhumi Pujan of 120 megawatt lower Kopili hydroelectric project at Dima Hasao district. She will also lay the foundation stone of a 2-lane highway at Haflong Tiniali. This project is being aided by Asian Development Bank. The Union Minister will inspect the ongoing Guwahati and North Guwahati connecting bridge project, and later in the day she will launch a web portal under Assam Right to Public Service Act 2012 at a function in Guwahati. Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and Assam Finance Minister Ajanta Nyok will accompany her in the events.
The auspicious 9-day-long festival Navratri begins today with great festivity and fervour across the country. The 9 days are dedicated to 9 different forms of Goddess Durga. Ma Durga is worshipped in 9 forms, and each day is dedicated to one of her avatars. The first night of Navratri is dedicated to Shailputri, the daughter of the mountains. Devotees are seen visiting temples for worshipping following the COVID guidelines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended greetings to the countrymen on the occasion of first day of Shardya Navratri. Prime Minister in a tweet said, and I quote him, "The coming days are about devoting ourselves to the worship of Jagat Janani Ma. May Navratri be the bringer of strength, good health and prosperity in everyone's lives."
As people gear up for celebrations with Navratri marking the beginning of season of festivals, Prasar Bharati Network brings you special shows, live coverages and much more to pep up the festive mood. And to be a part of your celebration, Doordarshan and All India Radio will broadcast a lot of engaging content, devotional and entertainment. And for the entire duration of Navratri, Doordarshan will bring to you Durga Puja and Aarti live from various locations across the country. and this includes famous Mahalaya from Kolkata and Sri Venkateshwara Swami Navratri Brahmotsavams from Tirupati. You can also watch Ayodhya Ki Ramleela live from Ayodhya on Doordarshan from 6th to 15th October. Daily 2 episodes of Ramcharitmanas will be telecast on DD National. All these audio-visual contents on AIR and DD will be available on Prasar Bharati's News on Air app and will also be live streamed on our YouTube channels.
In Jammu and Kashmir, the Jammu Divisional Administration is organizing a 9-day-long Navratri festival amidst the adherence of COVID SOPs at Katra, the base camp of Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Cave Shrine in Riyasi district of Jammu Division. The festival is being organized by Tourism Department, Jammu, in collaboration with Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board till 15th of October. Worth to mention, in order to promote pilgrimage tourism in Jammu and Kashmir, Navratra festival was started in 1996 and the event has attained international fame and popularity over the years. The festival could not be organized last year due to the pandemic. This year, the administration has decided to organize it on a limited scale owing to the fact that large number of people have been vaccinated. Unlike past practice, Shobha Yatra would be taken out only on the first and the last Navratri to avoid public gatherings. However, Prabhat Feri will continue for 8 days from bus stand covering Darshani Deodi to Raghunath Temple and Bhumika Temple.
And every day we bring you a story on India's freedom struggle, and in this episode of Saga of Freedom Struggle we will discover how the day of 7th October is marked as a black day in the history of India's freedom movement. We'll also listen to the contributions made by S.N. Sundarambala, woman freedom fighter from Tamil Nadu. Today is also the death anniversary of freedom fighter, reformer and educationist K. Kelappan Nair.
The day of 7th October is marked as a black day in the history of India's freedom movement because on this day in 1930, the death sentence to great freedom fighters and revolutionaries Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev in the Lahore conspiracy case was pronounced. A special tribunal was set up by the British Imperial government to speed up the trial as the popularity of the revolutionaries in the Lahore jail was increasing day by day and stirred the national sentiment in the entire country.
Viceroy Lord Irwin declared an emergency on 1st of May 1930 and introduced an ordinance to set up a special tribunal composed of 3 High Court judges for the case. This decision cut short the normal process of justice.
On 2nd July 1930, a habeas corpus petition was filed in the High Court challenging the ordinance. The petition argued that the Viceroy had power to introduce an ordinance only under conditions of a breakdown of law and order. The petition claimed that in this case, such condition had not occurred.
However, the petition was dismissed as being premature. On 7th October 1930, the tribunal delivered its 300-page judgment and concluded that the participation of Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru in British police officer John Saunders' murder was proven. They were sentenced to death by hanging.
देश मेरे मेरी जान है तू.
7th October is also the birth anniversary of a woman freedom fighter from Tamil Nadu, S.N. Sundarambal, who was born on this day in 1913 in Tirupur. Several freedom fighters from Tirupur and Coimbatore districts fought for the nation's cause during the British era, but statues of only 2 of them have been erected in Tirupur city.
One of them is Tirupur Kumaran, also known as Kodikatha Kumaran, who is among the most celebrated freedom fighters from the region. The other is a simple and humble S.N. Sundarambal, who didn't step back from the front line of the movement even when nursing a newborn. Sundarambal was born in Veerapandi in Tirupur. Despite being from a rich family, she was interested in social service and the freedom struggle. In 1928, Mahatma Gandhi requested the public to donate to the Congress party to fight the British rule.
Sundarambal climbed the stage and offered her gold bangles to the great leader. Mahatma Gandhi told her to instead join the non-violent resistance for Indian independence. Sundaram Bal went on to participate in several protests during the freedom struggle, and during the Satyagraha protest in 1941, she was arrested along with her newborn son and jailed in the Vellore prison for 3 months. She participated in the Quit India movement and was arrested and sent to the Vellore prison again.
In 1943, Sundaram Bal organized a large-scale demonstration in Tirupur against the British government and was again arrested and jailed for 3 months. After independence, she took an active interest in ensuring farmers' welfare in the district and organized many protests for them.
7th October is also the death anniversary of freedom fighter, reformer and educationist K. Kelappan Nair, who is also known as Kerala Gandhi. He was a founding member and president of Nair Service Society. In 1930, he led the salt satyagraha and marched to Payyanur beach and made salt.
Besides, he also fought relentlessly against untouchability and caste-based discrimination. He played a crucial role in the unification of the state of Kerala. He was elected to Parliament in 1952.
All right, after that, let's turn focus to international updates in our segment Across the Globe.
In Pakistan, at least 20 people were killed and over 200 injured when an earthquake struck southern Pakistan. The earthquake, with a magnitude of 5.7, struck in the wee hours today while people were sleeping. Rescue workers said the dead were mostly women and children, while hundreds of people were rendered homeless. Over 100 mud houses collapsed and a large number were damaged, including government buildings. The injured were rushed to hospitals while some were treated on stretchers in the street under phone torchlight.
A quick look at the global situation with regard to COVID. When we talk of the figures, then the virus has so far infected over 23 crore 70 lakh people across the globe. More than 21 crore 42 lakh have recovered from the virus as of now. More than 48 lakh 40,000 deaths have been recorded across the world, and the maximum number of COVID cases and deaths have been reported from the United States. The country has so far reported over 4 crore 49 lakh COVID cases and more than 7 lakh 27,000 deaths.
Right now, let's move on to our next segment, which is Web News Review.
And our colleague Vikas is joining us. Vikas, good morning. Let us know what all headlines have you picked up for us from the social media platforms.
Good morning, Preeti. The first story is related to Lakshmi Violence, and this story has been widely reported by almost all the newspapers. The Supreme Court has decided to hear this matter on suo moto basis. Yesterday, Supreme Court registered this case as a suo moto, and now today court will hear this matter. Chief Justice of India will hear this matter. He will be heading a 3-judge bench. Moving ahead to the second story, the Pakistan court has allowed India to appoint its counsel to provide legal assistance to Kulbhushan Jadhav. If you recall that International Court of Justice had held that Kulbhushan Jadhav was not given proper representation before the court, and not only ICJ stayed his execution but also said that India has a right to send a legal team to represent Kulbhushan Jadhav. The third story is related to the air pollution. On the basis of past records, Delhi government has anticipated that between 1st of November to 15th of November, air quality in Delhi will be pretty bad, and in fact, keeping in mind the situation of COVID, government may impose new restrictions this year. So state government has predicted that between these 14 days, the air quality will be very poor. So Navratri has started, and especially in Gujarat, this time we can see the impact of COVID on those celebration. And since the government has imposed several restrictions, people are going to engage in more private functions, private programs. Though government has still said that people who want to participate in the Garba, they must come with a certificate that they have received 2 doses of the COVID vaccine. So government is paying all attention to the situation. The last story and the fifth story is related to the IT sector. MOS IT has said that India has a potential to become a 1 trillion digital economy in next 5 years. MOS IT was addressing a NASCOM event, and he said that during the times of COVID, we have come to realize the potential of IT industry, and with appropriate measure, India can become a $1 trillion economy, digital economy in next 5 years.
Right, Vikas, thank you so much. That was very short and crisp. Thank you so much for this segment.
All right, after that, we'll turn focus to sports updates and Sports Track.
So Anshu Malik has created history by becoming the first Indian women wrestler to reach the finals of the 2021 Senior World Wrestling Championship being held at Oslo, Norway. Anshu will play gold medal bout against USA wrestler Helen Morales today.
And in football, Spain ended European champions Italy's world record 37 match unbeaten run on Wednesday as Ferran Torres scored twice in a 2-1 win at the San Siro Nations League semi-final. Spain will face the winners of other semi-final between France and Belgium to be held today in Sunday's decider.
And after sports now, we have weather update for you. Heavy rainfall very likely at isolated places over Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Konkan and Goa, Madhya Maharashtra, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal and Kerala and Mahe. Thunderstorm accompanied with lightning very likely at isolated places over Madhya Pradesh, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Konkan and Goa, Madhya Maharashtra, Marathwada, coastal Andhra Pradesh, interior Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal, Lakshadweep and Kerala. And heavy rainfall very likely at isolated places over Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Konkan and Goa, Madhya Maharashtra, Karnataka and Kerala. Now let's take a look at minimum and maximum temperatures across different cities. Right, so it's time for a wrap, but before we end this breakfast show, it's a reminder to wear a face mask before you step out of your house and follow all the government protocols and COVID appropriate behavior. Cases might be declining, but we cannot afford to lower our guard.
Yes, and make sure that you contribute towards this fight against the pandemic, which is still continuing. And also every day we'll leave you with some images, some glimpses, some visuals, which we are sure stay with you and that have that feel-good factor that stays with you throughout the day. And today we will get you visuals from Japan, where hundreds of migrating butterflies known as chestnut tigers have arrived in western Japan. Now, chestnut tigers can be seen around this time of the year in the riverside area where bonsets are in full bloom. Take a look at these enchanting visuals. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.